What's scarier than a monster? A parent who wants to control your mind. That's what Our Mother does in Coraline. Even 15 years after its release, the movie terrifies children and adults. Not because Our Mother is a monster, but because she manipulates Coraline's every choice and feeling. Today, I'm breaking down why her psychological control is more terrifying than any supernatural threat. Before we dive in, tell me in the comments, what's the scariest scene you remember from Coraline? Because there are plenty. For me, it definitely was the opening scene when Beldam was remaking the doll. Still have nightmares about it. But first, a word from the sponsor of my insanity, my indie game, Willow's Paper House. If you love the dark world and mystery of Coraline, this game will fit you like a button. For the past year, I've been working on a narrative mystery adventure RPG, a dark fairy tale story that will leave a hole in your heart, the good kind. If you love games like Friend Bow, Grease, and Ori and the Blind Forest, you'll feel right at home. I wanted to create a story where magic and memory feel intertwined, where you can't tell what was ever real and where you explore the things you're afraid to face. You play as 13-year-old Willow trapped in a paranormal hospital where time behaves in unpredictable ways. You'll explore, solve puzzles, uncover secrets, and slowly peel back the truth while searching for your missing brother. You'll meet strange and unusual characters, some unsettling, some well-meaning, and face moral choices that shape who you become. A savior or the villain of your own story. Wishlist us on Steam, follow us on social media, follow us through the tiny door. And now back to the video. Our Mother is familiar to parental figures in media and real life who seek to exploit their child, essentially transforming them into an extension of themselves. Despite her loving words and gestures, she does not want to love Coraline as a whole separate person. She wants to love Coraline as her perfect little plaything. As an extension of herself, she sees Coraline pretty much as a doll, something to play with and love, and then discard when she has had enough of that game. Beldam constantly shows that she remains in control of the world where she lives, ruling it with an iron fist and being its sole creator. It remains a mystery just to what extent the inhabitants of this button world have their own personalities, or if they are complete puppets controlled by Beldam, who can only rebel because they are based off real existing people and therefore retain some traits. Still, Beldam does not see anyone as equal to her, not Coraline, and certainly not the other people she created. It is pretty clear that Beldam sees herself as the one in control, always right and essentially entitled to everything she wants, including Coraline. Coraline is a rebellious child, one who is not easily bent to the will of a parental figure, which annoys Beldam. But she is smart, and the real face of her as a monster appears only during the second part of the movie, with the first being a perfect trap for Coraline. This is the kind of psychological control where a parent doesn't just guide behavior, they invade the child's thoughts and feelings, making them act as the parent wants. At first, like many manipulative and abusive parental figures, Beldam employs various tactics to make Coraline lower her guard and trust her. She uses the doll to see what Coraline dislikes about her life, creating an ideal version of the world Coraline wants to live in, removing unpleasant things and amplifying everything Coraline desires. Tasty food, parents who always have time for her, and neighbors who are entertaining rather than crazy. Beldam's whole composure speaks of motherly affection, at least at the start of the movie. She never, until their very last confrontation, raises her voice at Coraline or loses the warmth she displays. This is very telling of how she wants to present herself. Essentially, from the very start, Beldam wants to create an image as the protector and as someone who will cater to Coraline's every wish. Everything in her world is designed to appeal to Coraline. Firstly, Beldam uses general tactics like comforting Coraline and giving her lies when she is unsettled by the situation. She says that everybody has other parents, making Coraline believe this is normal and that there is no reason to be concerned. She skillfully diverts attention from the fact that she has button eyes, acting like it's not a big deal and immediately asking Coraline to check on her other father. Manipulative parents create a perfect world to lower the child's guard. Love bombing and distractions are part of the trap. Pause for a second. Notice how subtle her manipulation is. Did you catch that on your first watch? Each night that Coraline visits Beldam's world, she is lured deeper into a web of lies and entertainment. Beldam deliberately chooses things Coraline is dissatisfied with to make her believe everything she could ever want can be found there. Each night, Beldam makes a point that she is Coraline's true mother and that Coraline's real parents are old parents. Notice the difference. During the first night, she says, "Yes, I'm your other mother," but in following nights, she stresses that Coraline's real parents are old parents, drawing a line between what Coraline had before and what Beldam offers, a new, a better parent and an ideal world to stay in. Beldam essentially represents the dark side of parenthood, showing parents who exploit children and strip them of their individuality. Coraline is more willing to fight than the other children who got trapped here, but Beldam has successfully tricked others before, promising unconditional love and breaking that promise the first chance she gets, which is shown in a horrible scene with the dark room and the ghost children locked inside of it. I can imagine that she just forgot about the things she no longer needed, the children she already loved and essentially got over it. And it is really scary to think of these children with their button eyes, powerless to leave, just waiting for their other mother to get back. But she never did. Psychological control that Beldam displays doesn't just punish kids, it shapes their choices, making them feel free while they're actually manipulated. Just think of all the times when Beldam proposed for Coraline to have the button eyes. She never outright forces, she always insists and stresses that it's better for Coraline, that she's going to be happier and that this is the right choice to make. Perhaps there is a line even Beldam is not willing to cross, or perhaps she is restricted by the rules of her world, but she never outright physically forces Coraline to sew the buttons on her eyes. It always needs to be her own choice. Let's talk about dolls and buttons. Dolls are a very strong metaphor in this movie. From the opening scene, when the doll is brought into the old sewing room from this starry night sky and brutally remade from the previous victim into the new one, to the last portion of the movie when YB shows Coraline the picture of the doll and what it used to be before, and Coraline realizes that she was nothing more than the next victim. The dolls carry a very strong message of exploitation, of being used, of being made into a plaything. Dolls are loved, cared for, but also completely controllable. You can dress them, use them, and discard them when tired. Beldam's children are dolls, She does not distinguish between them. The opening scene with the previous child doll repurposed into a Coraline doll is terrifying because it feels like a living being is violated against its will. I can never get used to it. Manipulative parents treat children like objects, controlled, observed, and replaced when no longer useful. All inhabitants in Beldam's world were buttons. They are her dolls. She controls them, she creates them, and she decides when she no longer needs them. That is my theory. Do you think that the button eyes are a metaphor for gaining a total control of somebody and transforming them into an object? Beldam is not used to being disobeyed. Her love is conditional. Follow her rules and she rewards you. Disobey and she punishes you with blame, isolation, and emotional abuse. She does not just control behavior, she seeks to control thoughts and feelings, turning Coraline into an extension of herself, a living doll she can love, manipulate, and discard while consuming her life force. The most dangerous parents aren't the ones who just punish. They try to take over your mind and feelings. Even up to the very end, the other mother maintains her loving facade. She rewards Coraline with breakfast, entertainment, clothes, and her attention, but always with a price. Coraline is never truly free. Her happiness must fit Beldam's terms. This is psychological horror disguised as a children's movie, and it's terrifying. She quietly but steadily breaks the child's spirit, absorbing them into her eternal web. Psychological control combines rewards and punishment to make children behave while stripping away their autonomy. Beldam's surveillance, conditional love, and desire to strip Coraline of her autonomy make Beldam terrifying. She represents the dark side of the parenthood, teaching viewers to recognize manipulative patterns. Coraline shows how horrible it is to be consumed physically, emotionally, and spiritually, but also how to resist. That's why Coraline is an amazing story. And Beldam is one of the best villains of animated children's media. She goes further than many other villains, quietly breaking the child's spirit and absorbing them. That's it for this video. I hope you liked it. If you want more deep character analysis or Coraline content, subscribe and I hope to see you in the next video.